Good morning, everybody. I'm so honored to be with you. I'm Professor Amani Jarrar from Philadelphia University in Jordan. Happy to be with you today, my dear participants, to participate in the 8th International Conference on Teaching and Learning and Education. In this city, Dublin, Republic of Ireland, and in Dublin City University, St. Patrick campus. So happy to introduce my presentation today, my research paper entitled Towards Building Peaceful and Inclusive Societies for Promoting Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, in Higher Education in the Arab region. Now, as you all know, I come from Jordan, and by the way, this is our tradition and our famous places that we are well known with as one of the wonders in the world, which is Petra. And I'm happy to present to you our esteemed His Royal Highness His Majesty King Abdullah al-Hussein II. This is where I come from. I wanted to introduce it, and I'm representing my Faculty of Arts, Philadelphia University. Now, I would like to start with Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations speech. One of his quotes on the 28th of June in 2024. He said, "Our failure to secure peace, to confront climate change, and to boost international finance is undermining development. We must accelerate action for sustainable development goals, and we don't have a moment to lose." This is what I started with. And to give you a brief idea about my abstract, it says that the study aims at exploring the role of higher education in the Arab region in building peaceful and inclusive societies. It also discusses promoting sustainable development goals, or what we call the SDGs, by attempting to answer the question of the study on how can higher education contribute to achieve all sustainable development goals, specifically SDG 16, through teaching and through research and governance for building peaceful and inclusive societies. You all know that higher education contributes to achieve all sustainable development goals, specifically SDG 16, throughout teaching and research and governance in building peaceful and inclusive societies. Goal 16, which is focusing on the promotion of peaceful and inclusive societies, ensures access to justice for all and the establishment of effective and accountable institutions at all levels. Now, this study uses the inductive analysis methodology. The study concludes that higher education institutions in the Arab region have potential to expand knowledge on various subjects and have the ability to cultivate students' abilities to navigate complexity and enhance their learning through dialogue and effective communication. Now, the relationship between SDGs, particularly 4 and 16, is one of interdependence, as education cannot thrive without the presence of peaceful and just societies. And at the same time, education plays a crucial role in promoting these values. So I was focusing in my manuscript on sustainable development goals, higher education, peaceful and inclusive societies, and of course talking about the Arab region. Now, the universities, to introduce you to my research, the universities and other higher education institutions play an important role in achieving the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, such as SDGs 2030. Higher education institutions are specifically mentioned under the SDG 4 on quality and inclusion of education, but in fact their impact extends across all the goals through teaching and learning, research outcomes and initiatives undertaken by university students also. And higher education institutions contribute to social, environmental, and economic development, as they are one of the most important incubators of ideas and solutions to global problems, which make them capable of making a positive impact. Now, the Arab region faces many unique and important challenges in terms of SDGs, which vary greatly between different parts of the Arab region. So some countries, for example, are still striving to provide the basic needs of their people and free themselves from extreme poverty. Among them are, for example, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. And many countries in the Arab region are major oil centers in an era when the countries need to work in transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy. These countries include, for example, Algeria, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, Oman, and United Arab Emirates. There's a third group of Arab countries that are unfortunately ravaged by wars. And these wars are often caused by external forces and that divide Arab countries among the countries, falling into the cycle of violence and conflicts such as Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Palestine, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen. Now, in the Arab region, commitment to the SDGs is no longer a choice that higher education institutions and universities take or not take, but rather it has become an urgent necessity and the principle, and all universities in the Arab countries must adhere. Now, I focused on the problem statement, which is this study will try to answer this question. The main question was, how can higher education contribute to achieve all SDGs, specifically SDG 4 and 16, through teaching, research, and governance in building peaceful and inclusive societies? Now, to remind you, so we have 17 goals to transform our world. The Sustainable Development Goals are a call for action by all countries, poor, rich, and middle income, to promote prosperity while protecting the planet. And they recognize that ending poverty must go hand in hand with strategies that build economic growth and address a range of social needs, including education, health, social protection, and job opportunities, while tackling climate change and environmental protection. Now, the goal of the month, if you want to talk about this month specifically, with the current progress falling far short of what is required to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, this year's high-level political forum on sustainable development that will be on 8 to 18 July at UN headquarters in New York will be critical to turbocharging efforts to accelerate SDG implementation in the remaining 6 years. And if you read the July edition of the Goal Month editorial, you will notify this. And by the way, this is a glimpse of what are the 17 goals, sustainable goals. We begin with no poverty, number 1, and then zero hunger, good health and well-being. And the number 4, which I focus on here, is quality education, then gender equality. 6 is clean water and sanitation. 7 is affordable clean energy, and 8 is decent work and economic growth. 9 is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. 10 reduced inequalities. 11 sustainable cities and communities, and the global goals for sustainable development. When we come to 12th, which is responsible consumption and production. 13 it's climate action, and 14 life below water, and 15 is life on land, and 16, which is my focus here in this paper, which is peace and justice and strong institutions. And of course we cannot work with this unless we have 17th goal, which is partnerships for the goals. Now the methodology I used was relies on inductive analysis, and the inductive analysis method is considered one of the most important and specific methods in the field of scientific research, as you know. This method is used by researchers in any branch of science with the aim of detailing and clarifying the phenomenon under study. Now my discussion focused on in terms of indicators that the 2023 Arab Index, as you may know, and the dashboard includes 29 unique indicators that are based on regional priorities and challenges, as well as related thresholds. These indicators were selected based on regional expert consultations that were conducted. Now, sustainable development outcomes vary across the region with common challenges such as gender inequality, decent work, economic growth, sustainable food production systems. And challenges remain as well in regard to SDG 3, which is good health and well-being, and SDG 6, which is clear water and sanitation, and SDG 9, which is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Also SDG 14, which is life below water, and SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. And here was my focus. Now here you can see a table that represents the Arab region SDG ranking by showing the regional score related to the index score, and it reflects Jordan in its regional score, which is 59, and its index score was 69. And of course it represents here the state of stagnating. Some of other countries are decreasing and some are stagnating, and you can see the difference. Some are moderately improving, for example. It depends on the situation itself, and maybe the political and the situation, the peace process. Now the other charts shows the distribution of the Arab countries index score related to the regional score. My source was the researcher, which is in 2024. It shows that the Arab countries below regional score were 43%, and the Arab countries above the regional score were 57%. Now this shows again that the distribution of the SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions trends, we have also different variations. For example, the decreasing countries were forming 34%. Stagnating case was 65%, and only 1% moderately improving, and nobody was on track or maintaining SDG achievement. Unfortunately, that was 0%. Now, my conclusion was that the study discussed how can higher education contribute to achieve all sustainable development goals, not only this one. Specifically, but I focused on SDG 16 through teaching, research, and governance in building peaceful and inclusive societies. Now, Goal 16 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is focusing on promotion of peaceful, inclusive societies, ensuring access to justice for all, and establishment of effective and accountable institutions at all levels. Now, this goal recognizes the interconnectedness problems of inequality, searching for peace, and facing environmental issues with global development principles. Now, also, while SDG 4 specifically addresses education, it is a cross-cutting theme that is relevant to all 17 goals. Now, the relationship between SDG 4 and 16 is one of interdependence, as I said, and as emphasized also in UNESCO's 2012 Global Education Monitoring Report that was mentioned there. And education cannot thrive without the presence of peaceful, just societies, and education plays a crucial role in promoting these values. Now, I realized that higher education institutions in the Arab region have the potential to expand knowledge on various subjects, including legal rights and environmental law. They have the ability also to cultivate students' abilities to navigate complexity and enhance their learning through dialogue and effective communication. And these institutions can inspire students to engage in profound reflection and develop a comprehensive worldview and appreciate the importance of resilience. Now, higher education can also play a crucial role in reinforcing essential skills that promote justice and consensus, such as conflict resolution techniques. They can foster values of gender awareness, non-discrimination, and actively advocate for participatory democracy. When it comes to incorporating these subjects into the curriculum, there are two approaches to consider here. The first is horizontal integration, as you know, which involves infusing sustainable development principles across various courses and topics. Now, the second approach is vertical integration, which entails designing specific courses that focus on the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Now, the former option is generally regarded as more effective, as it addresses the intricate nature of sustainability issues. Furthermore, higher education institutions have a broader role in education that extends beyond their enrolled students. They can also provide tailored training on SDGs to local stakeholders, including NGOs, the private sector, governmental institutions, and establish partnership to foster transdisciplinary co-creation trajectories. Now, just to remind you that SDG 4, which is quality education, focuses on ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. Now, but if you want to talk about the facts and figures here on quality education SDG 4, we will find that progress toward quality education was already slower than required before the pandemic, but COVID-19 has had devastating impacts on education, causing learning losses in 4 out of 5 of the 104 countries studied. And without additional measures, only 1 in 6 countries will achieve the universal secondary school completion target by 2030, which is an estimated 84 million children and young people will still be out of school, and approximately 300 million students will lack basic numeracy and literacy skills necessary for success in life. And to achieve national goal 4 benchmarks, which are reduced in ambition compared with the original goal 4 target, 79 low and lower middle income countries still face the average annual financing gap of $97 billion. Now, to deliver on goal 4, education financing must become a national investment priority, and furthermore, measures such as making education free and compulsory, increasing the number of teachers, improving basic school infrastructure, and embracing digital transformation are essential. By the way, that was mentioned in Sustainable Development Goals Report 2023. Now, to remind you also of the goal factors, targets. SDG 4.1, it says that by 2030, ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary educating, leading to relevant and goal for effectively learning outcomes. 4.2 says that by 2030, ensure that all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development care and primary education, so they are ready for primary education. 4.3, the target 3, it says that by 2030, ensure equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education, including university. And 4 says that by 2030, sustainability substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical and vocational skills for employment and decent jobs and entrepreneurship. Now, by 5, by 2030, eliminate gender disparities in education and ensure equal access to all levels of people and children in vulnerable situations. And 4.6 says that by 2030, ensure that all youth and substantial proportions of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. 4.7 says that by 2030, ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development, including, among others, through education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyles, human rights, gender education and equality, and promotion of culture of peace and nonviolence, and global citizenship and appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution for sustainable development. 4A says that in this part, building and upgrading education facilities that are child, disability, and gender sensitive and provide safe, nonviolent, inclusive, and effective learning environments for all. And 4B says that substantially expand globally the number of scholarships available to developing countries, in particular least developed countries, small island developed states, and African countries, for enrolling or enrollment in higher education including vocational training and information and communications technology. Also, technical engineering and scientific programs in developed countries and in other developing countries. And 4C says that by 2030, substantially increase the supply of qualified teachers, including through international cooperation for teacher training in development countries, especially least developed countries and small island developing countries. Now, such information were taken from the UN Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organizations, UN Children's Fund, UN Development Programs, Global Education First Initiative, UN Population Fund, Comprehensive Sexuality Education, and UN Office for the Secretary General's Envoy on Youth. They are all links that we can work together with. Now, I also focused, that was my main theme, on the 16th Sustainable Development Goal, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. The facts here to be introduced about the targets that I considered, which is ongoing and new violent conflicts around the world, are derailing the global path to peace and achievement of Goal 16. The year 2022 witnessed a more than 50% increase in conflict-related civilian deaths, largely due to the war in Ukraine. As of the end of 2022, imagine that 108.4 million people were forcibly displaced worldwide, in an increase of 19 million compared with the end of 2021, and 2.5 times the number of a decade ago. In 2021, the world experienced the highest number of intentional homicides in the past 2 decades. Now, structural injustice also, inequalities, and emerging human rights challenges are putting peaceful and inclusive societies further out of reach. To meet Goal 16 by 2030, action is needed to restore trust, to strengthen the capacity of institutions, to secure justice for all, and facilitate peaceful transitions to sustainable development. That was shown in the Sustainable Development Goal report in 2023. Now let's have a look at the targets of Goal 16. We have the first target, which is significantly reduce all forms of violence and related death rates everywhere. The second one, which is end abuse, exploitation, and trafficking, and all forms of violence against and torture of children. The third is promoting the rule of law at the national and international levels, and to ensure equal access of justice to justice for all. The fourth is that by 2030, significantly reduce illicit financial and arms flows, strengthen the recovery and return of stolen assets, and combat all forms of organized crime. The fifth was that substantially reduce corruption and bribery in all their forms, and the sixth is developing effective, accountable, and transparent institutions at all levels. The seventh, ensuring responsive, inclusive, participatory, and representative decision-making at all levels. And the eighth is broaden and strengthen the participation of developing countries in the institutions of global governance. 9, that by 2030, providing legal identity for all, including birth registration. 10, ensuring public access to information and protect fundamental freedoms in accordance with national legislation and international agreements. Now, 16. This 10th target also is formed of two parts. The first, A, which is strengthening relevant national institutions, including through international cooperation for building capacity at all levels, in particular in developing countries, to prevent violence, combat terrorism and crime. Also, promoting the enforce non-discrimination laws and policies for sustainable development. Now, I also used the previous links, but I added to that the United Nations Education and Scientific Culture Organization, the Office of Higher Commission and Human Rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UN Department of Political Affairs, and of course the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNICEF, and End Violence, and Safe to Learn, and United Nations Peacekeeping, UN Counterterrorism Committee, also High Time to End Violence Against Children, UN Action for Cooperation Against Trafficking in Persons, also UN Office of the Special Representative of Secretary General on Violence Against Children, UN Mine Action Service, and the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children. These were the links, and I concluded that an Arab higher education institution has the potential to enhance evidence-based policymaking through research. And one way to achieve this is by independently evaluating SDG indicators, as demonstrated by a case study conducted in Egypt, for example, and other countries that should follow the steps. This valuable contribution ensures that official and governmental data regarding implementation of SDGs is thoroughly examined, and as a result, higher education institutions and civil society actors can guarantee that the evaluation process remains transparent and unbiased. And this is what we are seeking nowadays in Jordan. I would like to end with saying that hate has no place in our homes and should have no place in our workplace, schools, streets, universities, and anywhere. And under the auspices of the UN Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, the forum is the main platform, as you know, for reviewing the 2030 agenda of the SDGs. And by the way, this year, the forum will convene under the theme of reinforcing the 2030 agenda and eradicating poverty in times of multiple crises, the effective delivery of sustainable, resilient, innovative solutions. And 5 SDGs will be reviewed in depth. These are Goal 1, which is no poverty, and Goal 2, zero hunger. 13, which is climate action. 16, this is my focus, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. And 17, which is partnership for all goals. So by this, I would like to thank you. I worked on my paper focusing on sustainable development goals, and I presented the focus of what should be reviewed and how we can work on justice and promoting peace in our societies through higher education institutions, promotion and research. Thank you again for listening, and it is really my honor to participate with you in this prestigious conference in Dublin. Hope to see you in Jordan one day soon. Thanks again.